Hello shiny friends, welcome back to my channel. You'll see me here today cleaning my turtle aquarium. This was filmed at the beginning of spring this year, and so I was taking a little extra time this particular day to get things cleaned up a little more than I usually would, being as that it was spring, so I was doing some spring cleaning. So shortly we will get into the actual cleaning out the aquarium and how this particular filter system works. So just bear with me as I get this cleaning underway, and I hope that it inspires you to maybe clean your space as well. It's always so nice to get things a little neat and, intact and in place. This is a car vacuum actually that I'm using that we have mounted on our wall in our garage. I particularly wish that it wasn't as close to the aquarium, but it was there first before the aquarium. So here you see me unplugging all of the essentials that is in my aquarium tank, providing something particular. So this one that I'm working on actually goes to the warmer that I keep in the winter months. The turtles need warmth, so you can find those at any pet supply store or on Amazon. So I'm measuring here to figure out just where I want to tie the cord up using a black piece of scrap ribbon that I had. I'm all about working on a budget, and this is just a ribbon that I had on hand. I'm going to cut that cord off, that sticker off too, because I'm just tired of looking at it. Trying to make things look a little neat and nice. So that one works out well. And then I move on to the one that actually is the cord that goes to the light for them, the UV light that I have, providing light for them. It's like they're sitting in sun, and so I work with this one. I actually had a little hard time getting it going, but I don't cover that here all in this coverage. I just tend to that on my own and move on to the next cord. This cord is actually the one that goes to the filtration system that I'm going to demonstrate how to clean here shortly. It's a little longer, and so I'm trying to decide how long I want it, because I don't want that piece hanging out where I can see it. Cords are so annoying, and it's not what I want to see when I pull in my garage. So I kind of work that out to eventually that I get it to my liking. You can see my husband walking by messing with me. He was out doing yard work. It looks like I'm cutting those cords, but I'm really not. So here we're moving on to the actually cleaning. You lift that middle piece up there. You kind of just set it because it's not going to come out, and get it out of your way. And I have this just slid right under there, and it's easy for me to get to. And so I'm going to pick up the whole filtration system and carry it out away from my garage and release all 4 of the clips on the outer side. It's very easy, and the top just comes right off. So I kind of move it over a little further because I'm going to be using the water hose, and since that has an electrical cord on it, I try not to actually soak it. So I'm going to go ahead and clean it first. You see, I'm kind of just taking a little time. And I'll be honest with you, this was a time that was actually a little dirtier than I usually let this aquarium get. So it looks a little nastier than sometimes. So here I've removed that center piece just to kind of clean in there some. It took me a minute actually to get that center piece off, but once I got it going, it was good. And so I turn it over and clean where the lines run through the top there. So I just keep kind of shaking that water out because I was a little nervous about too much water staying in there. And I go ahead and put the cap back on. And this way I can set this top piece over and out of the way, because like I said, it is the electrical part, and I just don't want that electrical cord getting too wet. So here I'm going to go ahead and empty the old nasty water out. And then I'm going to just dump the whole entire pieces that are in there. See how nasty? Not all the time whenever I go to clean it is it that nasty. But like I said, this was springtime and I had not been really up on par. I had been busy and didn't get it cleaned. So I just go ahead and clean it out real well, and that way once I start cleaning the other pieces on the inside, and you kind of have to keep up with how each piece goes in here, and you'll see me pulling out those little black pieces. All of this comes with this filtration system whenever you buy it. So I wash each little crate really well, and like I said, I keep up with what piece goes where, and that way I don't mistakenly put the pieces back that don't need to go. But usually if you try to set them and it's in the wrong place, it won't go. So those black sponges are usually pretty nasty. I don't like to touch on them too much, and in fact, if you're working on this project, you might want to wear gloves, but I typically don't wear gloves and will just make sure that I get them really, really clean, and whenever I get done, I use antibacterial soap to wash my hands up. I don't use that in the filtration system. I mean, and I wash my hands that way. So anyway, you have to really keep spraying the black sponges. So I'll show you again like how dirty this one is. That filter that's in there was white whenever it came with the new system. But I'm going to clean it off a little bit still while in there, pull it out, and I'm going to work on it. And if you just keep spraying and spraying and spraying and turn it over, it eventually, you will see white again. It does take a little time getting it out, and it's not going to be stark white. You'll still see a little brownish in there, but I try my best to get it as clean as I can. And I try to work at a pace where, you know, this goes as quickly as possible, because that was the whole point of purchasing this, is to make this system work out better for me versus having just an old nasty aquarium. And that's a little sack of some charcoal that comes with the filtration system, and I just keep cleaning it. Now, over time, I have read that some of these sponges and, you know, filters in that little bag of charcoal will eventually have to be replaced. So you'll see me putting the charcoal bag back in, and I put the white sponge back on top, and I'm going to clean that top off a little more. Like I said, you have to really kind of remember how the pieces were in there. Yeah, you notice I put that on upside down. Like I said, you'll realize that it doesn't fit. If it doesn't go in, you know it's not right. So the next one will be putting the black sponges back in. I had already threw those little black pieces back over in there. So you see me take those out and put those two black pieces in. I squeeze some of that water out, and I put those black pieces, I'm not sure what you call those, back in. And so you just snap it right back together, and I just kind of run a little more water over it, make sure I didn't miss anything. And I'm going to go ahead and set all the internal pieces back in. Oh, my thing popped off. Never had that happen before, but it's going to go right back on real easy. So if that happens to you, just kind of keep working with it. I thought I really messed up. Okay, so there it is. It's on. So I'm going to set that back in, shake some of that water out. And that kind of came apart. But if you keep working, you've got to get those clipped in there just right. That way, whenever you go to put the top and everything back on, it, you know, secures back into place like it's supposed to, because you've got to close those 4 clips. And I'm going to carry this back into the garage. Notice I haven't put water back in it. I should have, because you'll see here in a minute, I'm going to bring a gallon jug over to fill that up. So you can either fill it up while you're over there still cleaning, or you can bring a jug of water in and add it later. But you will have to have the filtration system filled with water before it will work again once you plug the pump back up. So you see here, I'm pouring it in. Basically, you've just got to have enough water that is going to go all the way to the top. So I'm going to put a second amount in there, and it's going to carry it all the way up there, and that way I can secure the top back on really nice. Everything fits in really well, and you've got to turn it around to where the top piece will snap back into place. And I'm going to adjust my cord, that way whenever I slide everything back into place. That's the top piece that I'm working with. It has to go back in there. And this is your part that's going to actually prime the pump to get it going. And once you get that going, you kind of jiggle and it gets back into secure place. And once you plug it back up, it just starts automatically itself. But just remember to put water in there in the actual pump box down there that I just slid back under before you plug it up. So here now you see me removing some of the old water because you can see exactly how dirty it has gotten. And like I said, this was at the beginning of spring. I had gone a little longer than I normally like to get this aquarium cleaned out. And so I'm taking an extra step that I normally wouldn't do, because usually if the water's not too dirty and I catch it in time, I just leave the current water and maybe add a little extra fresh water on top of it. But this time I'm gonna take this water out. Spend a little extra time getting it cleaned up, and I'm gonna eventually show you once I add more water in that there will still be nasty stuff in there. And to some, this may be extremely nasty, but I've had turtles since I was a small girl, and it's something that I've always enjoyed, and usually find them in my neck of the woods where I live. So I'm going to finish cleaning this out and scooping this water out, and even remove the rocks, because I will eventually rinse those off as well. This is kind of a slow process. I'm sure there could be an easier way to do this that would be, but it's just what worked for me on this particular day. So here you'll see these are the lines that stick down in the aquarium, and I took them off to spray clean, and I actually just run the water hose down through them, and it gets some of the funky junk out of them. They're actually very nasty, and I'm sorry the water hose is in the way, but basically I just remove them to spray that out. That way they'll get back to their regular color, which is like a clearish white. And I don't do this every time, but for this particular time, like I was getting ready for being real cleaned up for the spring, so I took a little extra time. You can see, okay, I'm going to go ahead and plug up the filter system here. You'll see I've added that water with the water hose, and you can see how nasty it still is. And this is a little while later. You can see that it actually is clearing up some. So I'm going to show you this process of how it actually goes along and continues to get even better, even hours later. So each time you kind of notice that it's better was me coming back and filming later. They're pretty excited about their clear water, a little hungry. I even left at one point and went and did some laundry and came back. So you can see here that the water is a little bit clearer as time has gone on. And I rewarded them with a snack for the afternoon as they enjoyed their clean water. And as the night goes on and even into the next day, the water will continue to get better.